So this is a pretty special day. I am back in Ohio, my birth state, and I am going to meet up with a family friend who I haven't seen since I was probably 6 or 7 years old, and I'm 43 now. So it's been a while, a hot minute. And this man, Turk, actually worked on the railroad for over 40 years. And so he has a lot to show me, a lot to tell me, and it's just gonna be like a really cool reunion with someone kind of from my Ohio roots. And it's beautiful out here, the country, I'm passing horses, and it's just a beautiful day, and I'm excited. Hi!
I'll say this, you're prompt. How you doing, Lisa?
This episode, I'm turning the spotlight on Jim Turk, a retired senior general car foreman.
I've been to the Horseshoe Curve, but it was my dad that picked this up for me, I think.
That's special. That's cool.
Then the switch lamp converted into a outdoor light there.
Very neat.
And then back on the barn, I have another semaphore.
Go down Wildlife on Road.
So before heading into the house to see some of Jim's train treasures, as well as all the photos that he had from the derailments he worked on over the decades, he gave me a quick tour of his barn.
Oh, that's a cool truck.
Yeah, and then on the back is
Oh, wow. I didn't see that one. Oh my gosh. That's cool. I love old cars.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me if American pickers know I'm here. Mike and Frank, they go around picking antiques and stuff in people's barns and properties. Jeannine and Joe have a big Alice Chalmers. She rides a WC, which is a bigger tractor than anything I've got here.
Oh, wow.
That's what they run on their property. That's a 1940 John Deere.
Oh my gosh.
When I retired, he made me this piece of barn art. But that's the Norfolk Southern system and most of the predecessor railroads. In other words, when you see Pennsylvania Railroad and the Virginian and all those big Eries, etc., those are the railroads that made up Norfolk Southern now. I was born in Alaska, but it's a territory, so it was 48 stars on our flag at that time. So that's why that's up here. That's a 48 star, not a big. And then you got Canada, Virginia, Wyoming, Arizona, home state Alaska, Ohio, of course, Swallowtail Pennant, North Carolina.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't realize you were born in Alaska.
Yeah.
And back when it was a territory.
I don't really remember. My dad was in the service up there, and they actually drove the Plavcan highway within a year after it was finished. Drove it from Anchorage to Woodford, Ohio.
Wow.
And then we headed into the house, where there was lots to see.
So that's one of your typical Christmas layouts?
Yeah, with the 2 layers there. We're 3 now.
Aww.
Okay, just some kerosene railroad lamps at one time. This would be like a caboose lamp that went on the rear of the caboose. And then these are switch lamps. Of course, green or white would give you a straight run on your track. And then if the switch was diverting, then you would see the yellow or the slow. This one here, this was for a derail. And a derail is a piece of metal that will knock a car off the track versus going into a building or possibly harming a piece of property or even going out onto a track accidentally. So if it displayed clear, the derail was not in position. If it was stopped and it displayed the blue light, which was a safety light, the derail was in place and you would not pass that point there. Now, one of the finest pieces I have, and I've never seen another, is this B&O track thermometer right here. This was used to set on a rail. If you notice the unique ball on the thermometer there, it took the ambient temperature of the rail And then it told you how to properly shim it there so you would not have sun kinks in the rail later on.
Wow.
Now, people have heard about it, talked about it, but I've never seen another one. And this was specifically made for the B&O Railroad there.
Wow, very special.
Okay, years ago outside of Collinwood there was a caboose on display outside the credit union. And this is the old wood body caboose that they had there, and they were offering lithographs of the sketch there, and I guess that's possibly numbered. That's 40 years ago, and good look at the caboose. If you notice, they've got 4 lens lights on the rear of that, and I'm in the process of restoring 2 of those back in the barn right now. They're in a box, restoring those caboose lamps.
Wow.
They usually had 3 green lenses and 1 red. And of course, if they're displayed as a sequence on the rear, you can have a green on the right side, a red on the left side. It has specific meanings, and I didn't know anything about that until I saw them explaining the lights at the museum up at Steamtown, up in eastern PA in Scranton. But everything I have has all the kerosene tanks in them, and they're workable. They may need new wicks now because they probably turned dust.
Wow.
And while not specifically related to the railroad, this is an old lunch pail from the 20s or 30s. And it's more than meets the eye when it's got a cup. And then the top comes off, I think.
Wow.
Room for sandwiches and stuff in there, and then another insert in there where you can put soup in there and your sandwich in the bottom.
Oh gosh, I've never seen one of those before.
No, it's... And I feel like Lisk was the manufacturer of this particular one.
Lisk?
Lisk.
Okay.
L-I-S-K.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I see. Wow.
Have you been to your railroad museum though in Sacramento?
No.
Definitely worth a look. One of the most impressive things, and it's not really something that interested me while I was working on a railroad, but the major railroads, even the smaller ones, had specific china for their dining cars. And they had probably one of the nicest collections of railroad china that I've ever seen. Nicely displayed in a dining car, and each table setting was a different railroad.
Oh.
China, New York Central lines.
Okay, so that's a piece of railroad china
yeah.
from the New York Central.
And certain designs, and a lot of times we've run into where they are doing repops of certain china settings. What was it, at the Grand Canyon they had, I think, the Santa Fe's old railroad china for display and sale.
Wow.
But it wasn't the original. But I know I was working, I used to inspect private railroad cars for Amtrak, and this one guy, his car was not allowed to be pulled on a mainline train anymore, but he had 2 complete sets of B&O china and the china silks for $60,000. So, I mean, there's...
Oh my gosh. Wow.
There's a desire for it. And like I said, it's usually very design oriented. In the Art Deco days of the 20s, 30s, that's when the railroad travel was at its height and probably the most romanticized back then.
Definitely.
Yeah, very valuable. Complete sets of some of the stuff have gone for like $30,000.
I recall how decades prior, I would hang out with Jeannine, Jim's daughter, listening to cassette tapes and singing along and just having so much fun. And who would have thought that so many years later, I would have a reunion with Jim over trains? Well, he had so much more to show me, and there's a lot I want to share with you. So subscribe to my channel, and pretty soon you'll be seeing more of Jim's train treasures. And in the meantime, check out lisakaentertainment.com/YouTube, where there are updates weekly. Bye for now.